Channel 3 is the future.
Welcome, crew, to What Are Your Three, a Channel 3 podcast where we take a member of the Channel 3 community, discuss 3 games of their choosing, go through some honorable mentions and some other odds and ends, have a nice little video game discussion. I'm Dan Tucker. With me, as always, El Rey.
What's going on? That's an old school name right there.
I knew I was going to get you. I didn't mean to. I was like, I didn't want to just say Ray, but I was like, it's going to go. The L's going to throw him off.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I don't hear. Actually, I hear that one, or I see that one a little more because I got my Xbox Game Pass, and that account still says TDG El Rey. That's a real old name because I haven't decided to pay the $10 to switch it over or whatever. But anyway, tonight's guest, or the morning's guest, depending on who you ask here on our show right now, is the MVP of the Marvel Snap League, suromike himself. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good, thanks. I'm really excited to be on. Looking forward to it.
We're happy you got up early to
it's
chat with us.
It's a little early, but it'll be fine.
Wait a second. When did this accent start? Because when we were here before Ray got on, you were just speaking like I did. You had like a New York accent going. Sorry. I'm done. I'm sorry.
No, so to be fair, my accent does change a little bit as I've moved around quite a lot. So I seem to pick up bits of people's accents depending on who I'm with after a little while. So that's probably why some people confuse me with where I'm from a little bit.
Just don't start listening to Dan. As long as you don't say Ocarina of Time, we're gonna be okay. Basically, don't pick up Dan's habits here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Philadelphia Ocarina market was a little late. I couldn't. I didn't know. They didn't get it in school.
So might drop in later.
Oh man! All right, game number 1. We're gonna get into it here.
Yeah.
Pokemon Red.
Yes.
Pokemon, the beginning, the start.
Literally was for me as well. That was my first ever. That was basically what got me into gaming. That was. I can't exactly remember it all properly, but I remember when I think I was about probably a similar age to Ash from the cartoon, so about 10-year-old watching it. And I thought, I love this. Absolutely amazing. So I think even though I didn't have the game, I bought the walkthrough. I bet I was properly into it. I read through every page. I was like, all right, when I get the game, I'm getting this Pokemon from this route, this one from that one. I've got my team worked out. So we eventually got it, and I didn't follow a single one of those steps I set for myself.
So you had read through the game before playing the game. So doing the walkthrough, so you knew kind of what the end of it was supposed to be, and what you were supposed to get to, and everything, all that.
Yeah. I think that's the only time I've properly spoiled the game for myself. Was normally, like you say, like you don't want to know until you come up to it. But 10-year-old me, I think it wasn't really the story necessarily. Like obviously all the side stuff with Team Rocket. I mean, that was just a side thing. So it was just all about, I want these Pokemon because they're great. They're my favourites. And like I said, I did none of it. I remember it took me like 100 attempts to finally finish it. Because like I say, every time I picked Squirtle was my first starter. And it was Squirtle in every battle. He was level 82 by the end. And everything else was just whatever level I caught it at.
I just have to interrupt here because I just wrote down like that's going to be the quest of the day this is released in a week and a half or whatever. It's like, what game did you go through the walkthrough before you had the game? You said.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen it. I feel like spoilers and YouTube videos it's a fairly recent thing. I've never heard of anybody spoiling a game through essentially a magazine before they bought the game.
Voluntarily as well.
Yeah, I didn't know spoilers were a thing that early in the day.
Yeah.
So Squirtle's a starter Pokemon, and it's Squirtle every battle. Of course, I'm with you. I'm with you. This is how I played as well. Squirtle, learn bubbles so you can go fight Brock and then continue on. From there, what does the rest of the team look like? Because I guess you did have to have at least one other Pokemon to get through the Final Four, right?
Oh no, the team was full. As younger me went for just literally everything. Like I say, I just love how complete opposite it was. I was planned out like a seasoned pro to begin with. I think I used my master ball on Zapdos straight away, so that was a bit of a waste as well. I can't remember, but as I played it more, I mean, it slowly got to the point of, no one wants to be grinding through the long grass. I mean, I'd love to know what them NPCs thought watching me going back and forth back in the day. Like, it's just like some weird kid here. I think someone needs to take him home, sort of thing, like going back and forth that much. But no, eventually it tended to be, as obviously I played the other games as well as I got older. It would generally be 4 Pokemon I would have by the end of it. And then I'd always try to give it with like no legendaries. Yeah, they're almost like a cheat code, aren't they? Really. So,
Did you end up capturing all the legendaries as you played?
I did eventually. Yeah, that was, like I say, on that playthrough. Even with the difficulty of wasting my master ball, there was a lot of resets to get Mewtwo at the end as well.
That was absolutely the worst one.
Yeah.
So the game. Go ahead, Dan.
I have to ask an important question on behalf of my 11 and 9-year-old. Did you play this on the Game Boy Color? Because this was right when the Game Boy Color was pending.
Yep.
Were you playing in the dark ages of the? Again, none of it had a backlit screen anyway, so no matter what, you depended on lighting. But were you playing this on the greenish black and white, or how did you play this?
Yeah, it was the old green screen original Game Boy. I mean, I put it on one of the quests.
Yes.
Yeah, quests the other day for the Gaming Regret. I swear that maid stole my Game Boy when we were on holiday one year, and I was devastated. It's no surprise I'm a nerd. It was the most uncool Game Boy bag, like leather bag with some extra pockets for the cartridges. I had a couple of games, and there was one day I came back to the room hoping to get a bit of Pokemon in, and that gone. But I did have, like you say, because it's not backlit, it had the magnifying glass and light adapter on it as well, with the batteries out of the remote.
I was gonna say how many batteries are going through there, with, especially because you have the light attachment too. So we're using extra batteries.
Yeah.
So I mean, this game, tons of fun, not without some weird stuff in it. Like, well, you're a Squirtle, so I guess this doesn't matter to you. But Charizard couldn't learn how to fly.
Yeah.
There's
some weird ones, isn't there?
I probably didn't know that as a kid because I picked Squirtle every time. So I probably didn't know that Charizard couldn't fly.
See, I did end up swapping to Charizard. After a while, I was like, I can't say no to a dragon. And after you play a few times, for me, it was added difficulty as well. Just for getting through the first 2 gyms. Mm-hmm. It forces you to find a way around.
Did you ever? Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Honestly, did you ever go through, since you played so many times, try doing any of the glitches? Because the game was so easy to kind of break through the game and do weird stuff with it.
Yeah, there was only one. I remember the item cheat where you'd be able to see Missingo.
Mm-hmm.
As I was thinking, I was trying to. I can kind of still remember it a little bit. So without you had to be your item that was 7th in the list. There was something at Cerulean City, and then you'd have to fly and surf up and down a bit of coast. Yeah, but no, I did that. I'd played it a few times before I tried that one. But no, I never tried any others.
That was my 2 in the missing no one. Actually, I forgot the Cerulean City part. I knew about the surfing and I knew about the 7th item one. Dan, do you ever duplicate items? Pokemon Red?
No, because the extent I played like 5 minutes of my brother's Blue, and I said no. I'm like 2 years past this and didn't do it. And then by the time my version of playing this was playing Let's Go Pikachu with my kids, and by that point, there were no. Mm-hmm. At least there were no. It wasn't like there was a culture of glitches or anything. I was just playing with the kids.
Oh, I thought you were going to take the chance to say you were just too honest a gamer.
We left it wide. For what it's worth, I didn't do it in Tears of the Kingdom, so there's that.
Well, I mean that one takes an hour to do. I think that's, if anything, it's Might as well play the game at that point if I have to work that hard. Oh man, how's your?
They're always the weirdest cheats when you've basically got to play the game anyway. It's like you're 12 hours in, it was pointless. You might as well have just played it.
I'm with you.
Listen, I'm 41. I'm just trying to get this Pokemon stuff down now. Between Pokemon Go and this trading card game that you degenerates collectively have, I haven't played a single thing with it. I just keep opening packs every 12 hours and whatever my son tells me I'm supposed to do with that. That's
me and my son love doing that. And then he's got into it, and now, I mean, let's say I played Generation 1, and I think I got to about Generation 4 or 5 when I stopped. And there's some weird Pokemon now. And he's like, what's this one evolve into? What's this one do? And I'm like, honestly, bud, not a clue now.
It's just cathartic how you open the packs. That's all I know. It feels good.
Yeah. I mean, there's one where it's an ice cream. Like, I'm sorry, but you've lost me now.
No, I can't. I can't keep up with it.
There's way too much furry stuff going on for me.
We're running out of ideas.
Ones. I'm sorry.
How'd your Pokédex look? Did you care about kind of finding all the Pokemon? Do you have anybody to trade with that you could to get those couple evolutions in between?
No, unfortunately not. I think it was one of those times my mum was desperate for me and my brother to bond, but we were and still are very chalk and cheese kind of like typical brothers, couldn't get on.
He's just making expressions up here just to see if he can make one up or if that's actually a British colloquialism or something. Did you say chalk and cheese?
Yeah, it just means that you're just too different.
I'm not Googling it. I'm assuming that's fake. You're making that. If this is a game show, nope, I'm calling shenanigans now.
Those are different. They are different things, Dan.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't like your HBO Brits that you keep putting in your TV shows. Like, we don't all actually say. We're not here dropping a geezer in there.
Google says it's an actual expression.
Chalk and cheese. I'm gonna say that to my students tomorrow. I'm gonna figure out a reason.
I just see what kind of British slang you can fit into things like people. Just test it. Make them up and make them really weird as well.
A math teacher should not have trouble putting chalk and cheese in a conversation.
Oh, in this day and age, I don't have a chalkboard anymore, though. That's the issue.
Oh, they don't even know what chalk is. Oh, Jesus.
They don't know. Not like that. I used chalk in an experiment recently to show that it would bubble. It bubbles the same way it would, like an antacid would in your stomach.
Cool.
If you mix chalk, I forgot what I mixed it with. Oh, with vinegar. Chalk and vinegar will break the chalk out, and the carbon dioxide will bubble out of it. It's yeah. So basically, and we also learned that if Tums goes, I know this. What a tangent. What we learned in science class, I didn't know this. I had a expired pouch of Tums essentially, and so I went to do that, and I poured the vinegar on it, and it did not bubble, like at all. When it's expired, they're not kidding. That stuff doesn't work. You're gonna eat it, and it's gonna do nothing for your stomach at all. But if you put chalk, it'll bubble. So basically, if you chew on some chalk, you might as well help. That should help an upset stomach. You don't even need a Tums. Just chew on some chalk.
So I don't know if it's another phrase, but it's about as much use as a chocolate fire guard when they're expired. Then
there you go.
Nope. Yep. He's making that one. No way. I'm not even googling that one. Nope. I'm not falling for it.
Oh,
I'm gonna see if I can drop any more in.
Oh man!
I think I'm not falling for it. It's going to be depending on how my face was in that. I would have our gif of the episode there.
Oh man!
We're going for British bingo now.
Yeah, I think chalk and cheese and chocolate fire plug might also make the GIF list. We'll have to see how this one goes. This may be a long episode to edit.
Oh, at some point we were talking about a video game. It's in between all this and stuff.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the shiny object. That's fully on me. You're on Pokemon.
Oh man, I'll ask. Let's finish Pokemon with this. You have this down as one of the best villains in the game. Is that right?
Put it down as a villain one. I can't remember that.
Dan says you did.
He was just XP farming, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, there was a quest for best villain in the game. I don't know if Giovanni made the list or what.
To be fair, I know the rival. It was always it's the best part, fighting the rival on there. Like especially when there was one I found out later. I played it through a few times on Pokemon Red. You could go and fight your rival just outside Viridian if you went over to Victory Road. And I was like, because that was never written down anywhere. So I was like, oh.
Did you name the rival after your brother or after your friend who took your Game Boy?
At first, it was just I think I just called him Gary, obviously. But I say after that one got stolen, I got a Game Boy Advance and Silver was my next one. And I remember one time my cousin overwrote my save. And I was, for years, my rival was named after my cousin. Didn't let that one go.
Man, you have had some problems with these Game Boys and these Pokemon. You have to stop.
That's 2 cousins now, Ray. That's 2 cousins that have taken down people's Pokemon.
Oh, that's right.
It was the Mad Harry Rackham Buttface.
Garrett's was a cousin as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, his little cousin came to Thanksgiving, took his Game Boy, and
he overrode
it with a Graveler or something named Buttface.
Yeah. That's some full. There's some weird stuff going on with these Pokemon games.
Little cousins and Pokemon, the greatest rivalries in history.
Move us off this.
I've derailed this enough. Now I can't wait to see how Ray tries to throw landmines into me talking about Spider-Man. And now, did you want to talk specifically Miles Morales? You had Marvel's Spider-Man. I didn't know if we were specifically talking Miles Morales. You just want to make sure we hit on it. Like, so was Miles what caught your attention more?
Yes, in a way, as I've actually playing them in the wrong order. I played Miles, even though when I bought the PS5, it came with the Miles Morales and the Spider-Man. But for some reason, I went straight to the Miles Morales one first. So I've now gone back. You just want to
see the PS5? Yeah, come on, this is the one they made it for. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the thing that it properly got me back into gaming, like different kinds of games. Moved it on because for the years before then, I won't touch too much as we'll talk about it later anyway. But that was it, and it's just that map was amazing in that game.
Were you coming out of some dark ages? Like, was this like a gap without video games? And
no, it wasn't a gap without video games. Just for a very long time, I ended up getting quite pigeonholed. So I'd only
we'll talk mobile games later. That's what you're dancing around, just so when we come back to it later, people understand.
I'd been playing the same game basically for it was about 15 years probably all together. So I saw, because it came with it, tried it out, and it just blew my mind. You'd be going around all of New York, and then you could even look in people's windows, and it's a room. It's not just white as it always used to be. I played Spider-Man on PlayStation 1 as well. And
you were lucky you even had windows on those buildings. That was an entire.
I remember them. You'd look down, and it was just fog. We're not going to bother with a floor. It's just fog.
So Miles is a pretty new character in comic lore. Was this someone like you came in saying like, "Oh, I can't wait to see where this goes," or was this like did you kind of have an idea of like who he was as a character? You're coming in blind. I guess they give you a little bit of a prologue and like a taste of what happens in the first game, I guess, and his personal, like how he got powers.
It was fairly new to me. I'd seen the animated movie beforehand, so at least had a bit of a connection to him. I liked Spider-Man for years, watching the cartoons, playing the games and that. So it was an easy one to think of. I'll give it a go. Really glad I did.
Had you been to New York that this was, or just something you've seen around and like, okay, and you just kind of like felt familiarity with some of the sites because of like New York just being all over the place?
Well, it was pretty. I have actually been to New York. It was years ago. I was at Syracuse for a few months. This was literally, kind of for me and my wife. We'd not even been together 6 months, and I was sort of came to see her one day, and like, I'm going away for basically a year, like for trips. I was away for, like I say, because I was in the RAF at the time. So it was like all these things coming up. And that's I ended up going to New York, and she'd given me. She loves New York, absolutely loves it. Gave me this list of stuff to do. Came back, I was like, oh yeah, I've not seen any of it. She's like, what do you mean not seeing any of it? Like, you see that Statue of Liberty? No. All this stuff. And she quizzed me. I couldn't give any of it away. And it's because I was there 2 days, and I spent most of it trying to find this Converse store to get her a Christmas present. I really should have discovered the New York Metro. Would have saved me a lot of time.
Besides that, it was dinosaur barbecue and nothing else in Syracuse. I don't know. There's not much else Syracuse has to offer, I don't think.
Oh no, I loved the man versus food challenges there. They were great.
Oh yeah.
I think it taught me, like, one thing that's different between here and America is how big your starters are. Took me a long time to realize, stop ordering a starter, you're not going to finish your main.
That's my wife's main dish. Any restaurant we go to, she orders like 2 or 3 starters, and like that's it.
I think a couple of times that they came out, and it's like, no, I ordered a starter.
Oh, that's so good.
So the Spider-Man games have taken some kind of different lore paths from the comics, and so this was a very much like traditional Spider-Man stories. You get to have a villain who's interacted with the primary hero and whatnot. How was the narrative, the story, and all that? Did that hit for you with this?
The narrative for the villains was a little bit. I think it's because it didn't have any of the classic ones to begin with. Like, obviously, like you say, they have the arc.
They remade an obscure one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tinker is not on the A list for Spider-Man there.
No. I've tried comic books before, but it's just, I know it's daft to say when you're talking about superheroes, but they're just a bit too extreme, a bit too unrealistic for me, the comics. But no, it's been a while since I played. I remember the Vulture was in there though, but he was very much here he is and he's gone.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
It was the background. Yeah.
No, it was mainly the side stuff, to be honest, for that game. I mean, it's the same with, like I say, I've gone back to Spider-Man, and this one I'm going for the 100%, which I don't normally go for on games. I'll do literally anything. I mean, I was catching pigeons in Spider-Man, so that's how keen I'll go for it this time.
Again, I just warn everybody, you don't have to hunt pigeons in Spider-Man 2. There's a good and a bad side to not having to hunt pigeons in Spider-Man 2. That's all I'll say, and anybody who knows what I mean.
Yeah.
So
no, that was
Go ahead,
that was one of them times, like, my wife came in and asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm catching pigeons for this guy. Pigeons. And it's just the look on her face of, what? Are you sure?
Listen, it does whatever a spider can, and I can catch pigeons, okay?
That's right, you can absolutely catch them.
Yeah. No, that's Australia, and we don't talk about
that. Sorry, the Emu War jokes were before Ray got on. That was oh my god. So this did lead you back to the original Spider-Man. I know we're gonna talk another PlayStation game down the line. Did that lead into that other game we will talk? Save that question, I guess. But you did play the other Spider-Man. Did you play Spider-Man 1 and 2, or?
Well, I'm playing Spider-Man 1 at the moment.
Actively engaged now.
Yeah, that's the one. Like I say, I'm chasing the 100% now. So that's what's taking me on an awful lot of very random side missions. When it's funny, like, you get the little voice saying, "Oh no, you need to come here right away." You get, "Yeah, I will, but I'm just going off here to take a picture."
I gotta catch another pigeon. Gotta get a picture over here. The statues. Listen, if I don't get this picture of the statue now, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. No, it's not just a name. It's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Do it all. Get the missing cat poster up. I'll do that as well.
Listen, but you get the best suit in the game for that, okay? You don't get to. Any other thoughts on Miles Morales, and just kind of like it brought you back into single player games, I guess?
Yeah, I've forgotten about all the extra costumes.
That's where you especially. I have to ask, what's the go-to then?
I ended up going for the one from the movie, where it's the black with the red spray painted Spider-Man on it, the logo.
Oh, it's not just the suit though, because they also give you the power, or like they change it to the animation from the movie also, so everything's like a few frames off on purpose, or like it skips a frame or two. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's really, really nice. Like I say, a lot of the costumes there are a lot of good ones in there. Yeah.
Well, on to game number 3, the one that, as Ray mentioned, the MVP, but the fearless leader of Marvel Snap on Channel 3, a game that they just as we're recording this in the last week, they wrapped up their second year for the game. Everybody got their annual wrap ups. You've been playing since October 18th of 2022. If you did not notice on there, so it's been 2 years now, and you've seen some highs, you've seen some lows, but you're still plugging along with the game, right?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I mean, I was actually following it during the beta. Like, I never got into the beta. It was another lad told me about the game, and I was kind of, I mean, it was in the middle. I think it was just after lockdown or something like that for COVID and all that. So I was looking for something for just on the phone. Like, I wasn't looking to be that keen into a game. Just something to fill 20 minutes here and there. And I ended up watching some creators on YouTube playing the game. I thought this looks pretty fun. Nice. I don't have a huge card game background. Played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh. Never actually played the Pokemon card game before, but no, I love this one though.
Yeah, this was one I was kind of paranoid myself of, just like how many terrible things will Marvel slap its name on for games, and how many are not good. You've played another one that was solid and took some time off for folks. We'll come back to that one, but yeah, it was. I'm with you. It was kind of one of those things like, oh no, Marvel Snap is good. I heard. Yeah. I'm gonna dive in. I think it was like 10 days behind you, but so I'm gonna ask. There's a lot of deck archetypes throughout the game. What have your highlights been through the last couple of years? In the last 2 years now, what do you primarily play for a deck archetype, and what else has been your top 3 in there?
It's all almost like, I mean, not so much anymore now. I don't have enough deck lists, but I almost made it as like a victory cabinet. When I finally, the idea was, whenever I hit infinite with a deck, it gets that season's back, and then that would be it. For all of them, but obviously it's filled up now with it being 2 years. I mean, took me quite a while. I know I can't believe how fast he climbed to infinite. Nearly broke out the very old man of back in my day. It was 10. It was 10 a level.
I feel like that didn't even last long in the grand scheme of things now. Like it was 10 to level, and you had to grind for them too. But now it's a little
yeah. So I don't think they gave you the 3-level jump either when you got to.
No, I was trying to remember what it was.
That was a new thing.
Something else.
Yeah. So, but I tend to pick a different deck for every season. I mean, like yours, Dan, your Loki deck where they were all gold. I absolutely love seeing a deck like that, because it gives them that fear as well. When someone's like, you see the first gold and you think, oh, I love that variant, and then there's another one, and then another one, and then you just think, oh dear, they play this a lot.
Well, the best part is, like, I use Arishem for that deck too, and like the cards that it creates gets the same background, so all of the cards it creates are gold also. So it's like, oh no matter what, it just looks intimidating for people. Yeah,
it does. Really intimidating, and I'd love to have that, but like I say, every season I've just tried a different deck. There's some though where I'll play a little bit and like, nah, this just isn't my play style. Discard seems to be one that I quite like. I just don't get the results with it.
They took Hella down a peg. That didn't help either. I had that was my first.
I can't
my
play
first
Hella.
Infinite was an Apocalypse deck, and Hella was my second Infinite deck. So
yeah. No, I've made Infinite with a couple of discard decks, but Hella's one I've never. She's not very fair on me.
You need Invisible Woman and MODOK to really make it no one's ready for you.
Oh, she'll just stack everyone on one location.
Oh God, the RNG guys are who you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the random number generator. not your friend.
Nah.
So Jeff is your goodest boy, right? Is that the?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a fantastic card. But I'm not gonna lie, this game is filled with superheroes and characters that I've not even closely heard of.
Yeah, they're way beyond the D tier. They're down in like the F, G, H. Like normally, like F tier is the worst. Like no, they're way further down in the tier list on some of these. Like I got this one's worth a Google. This is the condiment man of Batman villains in here for some reason.
There's one a week they've gone past scraping the bottom of the barrel, haven't they? Like I'm sure they're just making some of these up. We'll come up with our own Batman. People will like it.
Every single Venom variant and species counterpart that's been in the comics at any point now has a card. I think at this point, I don't think there's any left.
Well, I didn't even realize there was that many Spider variants as well.
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of Spider-Man. Yeah.
They haven't begun to scratch the surface on those either. They're still running around out there. Those are.
It's just builds my arachnophobia here, knowing that pretty much every spider's going to bite you and give you superpowers at some way. There's that many of them. It's got to be pretty common now.
Well, I keep waiting. There's an Uncle Ben card that's on the docket for them someday. Where Uncle Ben's a 1-cost card that when he gets killed, Spider-Man appears. That's I'd like there's a lot of these cards. Like they're not just cards like, oh, we're just gonna put random. Like their powers, like, okay, narrative, comic wise, it makes sense. Okay, Uncle Ben dies, you get Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man's his card moves around and takes someone with him. It swings around the board randomly. Okay, that makes sense. Like they're all like, as dumb as it sounds, all these cards, I'm like, okay, all these card designs and archetypes and everything make sense for the characters, as obscure as they may be. Even the ones that are obscure, I'm like, I need to go look this up and like, why did they give this card this? Okay, I kind of get what they were doing. They're not just forcing things. Silly.
No, they have done that really well. Like you say, keeping them, they somehow managed to find some way of linking it to the character in some way.
Is there a card or a deck that you hate to see?
Most of them, if they're beating me.
Listen, I'm great, it's Galactus. And then there was that like 2-week period where the symbiote Spider-Man and Galactus were just coming out like, oh God, no. You know what's coming. You just have to try and pack the.
Well, it's like the old. You say about Spider-Man, it was like the old combo back when his ability used to be you couldn't play at this location next turn. With the old school Zabu as well, just drop Spider-Man and Absman at the same time, and I'll just take my time and win here. And the other person's rage quitting at the other side.
So 2 years in, you're still feeling the momentum for this one. Whatever's I didn't see what they've got coming next week, but they're by the time this episode drops, we'll be into a November season for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you say, with them adding, I mean, it's very hard for players to keep up with all the new cards, but I think the game's set up well enough where you don't need them all. Like you can get by. They give you the chance at a couple of cards a season for free to play, which is great. But you don't have to go for the whale option and get them all.
All right, let's move on to the honorable mentions. A couple extra games on the list. The first one is FIFA. That's it, just FIFA.
Yeah. Well,
all of it.
Pretty much, yeah. As let's say, it was about 15 years straight. Back when you used to get the PlayStation magazine with a demo disc on, where you'd be able to play a tiny bit. It was actually their arch rivals, Pro Evo. Was the Pro Evo Soccer was the one that was on there. I could only play half a match of a Euros game, but that was it. I got a proper anorak. I was writing down my scores, and I'd tie them all up and stuff like that to make my own mini league. But I loved it. But ended up moving over to FIFA because at least they had all the licensing, so I didn't have to rewrite all the names. I don't know if you've played any of them or have that much to do with it, but they always used to be like, it's not Chelsea, it's West London Blue. So you have to figure it out, which was worse for London because obviously how many teams they've got. And I don't live in London, so it's like I have no idea where Fulham is. So,
Well,
so
I
ended up.
apologize for anything I may trigger for you because I mean it's not they don't call it FIFA anymore, but you get the EA Sports Football Club.
EA Sports Football Club.
I'll just tell you now, like we're what are we going into week 6, Ray? Is that what we're going into? Yeah, we're going into week 6, but before the end of the season, I assure you, EA Sports Football Club is already programmed in for towards the end, like 12 or 13, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There'll be something in there for that. So I apologize if I trigger something for you.
I've not actually played it for a couple of years now. I say it was almost religiously. Coming from work, I'd have eaten, and then that'll be it. 4 or 5 hours a day. Like I don't really watch TV shows, so it'd just be FIFA. I mean, I try other games, but I'd always go back. And then there was, like I say, it was about 15 years, and it was literally just FIFA. Get the new version every year, and then like I say, it was about 2 years ago. Tried Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then never really went back to it.
It's funny we don't see more of FIFA talked about. This game has been around forever. It's the most, it's the most popular sport in the world. Even so, apparently FIFA 18. I don't know if that year, like seems important to you, or you feel like that game like played well than others. But it's the highest selling FIFA year. FIFA 18 is the number 35 lifetime game of all time. Lifetime sales, FIFA 18.
They never really changed that much. It would always be, you'd always feel a little difference in the gameplay. So like I say, you'd find like you'd have to tweak the way you take your shots, or the passing style to get around the AI, things like that. I mean, I never did the online stuff. I was never before Channel 3. I never really did any online gaming. So it was mainly
FIFA
reading.
kept your attention for that long without playing online?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, I am such an anorak. It was the season side of it, and not just as much the playing the game, like the league, managing the team, like the budgets for buying and selling players, developing, like getting some unknown player or a player who in real life is absolutely terrible, and I'd make them, like a superstar.
What was your favorite team to play as?
See, I could never stick as well, especially when they introduced the fact that you could change team, just like obviously as managers do. You'd have your little thing come up, but I'd have to start low down. Like I love like chasing promotions, work my way to the top.
Did you feel because I was you're a fan of football. Did you feel when you played the game? I know when people play Madden, sometimes I'll watch streamers of old NFL players and they're playing Madden and they're saying, well, I'm going to do this and the game's going to move this way. And it feels very realistic. They kind of predict what the game's going to do. Did you feel playing FIFA that the game played the way you thought the football game was supposed to be played? Like the players were making movements and you kind of understood where they were going. Did it feel like a real game?
I suppose not in a way. I mean, I've never been great at actual real football. But there's a lot more variation. Like you'd find that the AI tend to follow similar rules. I mean, you end up find your route to like your play style, and it would become, I suppose, a little bit repetitive as you try and just basically break down to the same place to get your player into hit the area so he can get his shot off. But I know in some of the later one now you've got the career mode where you can be yourself on the pitch, which makes it a bit more realistic because obviously when it's the full team you've got the top down view, which takes away some of that realism. When it's you can only really see in front of you, which a bit more true to life.
Well, let's go back. Let's step away from the one that pulled you away from other games. And you brought up Horizon Zero Dawn. You wanted to talk a couple other honorable mentions. So this has to be like the post FIFA run, then, I assume.
Yeah, ours was definitely not during FIFA. No, like I say, Miles Morales was one that opened my eyes to bigger games. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I mean, it's a very beautiful looking game. The way that, like, all the different areas, I mean, scenes, like all the robots and that. And that was my first proper open world game, sort of thing. I think one of
as open as New York is, this is entirely open. You can do it. You could never play the game if you wanted to. You could just wander the countryside and explore and do stuff. Yeah,
that's one of the things that my son likes to do. I mean, he's only 6 now. When I was playing it, like it's one of there's certain games I won't let him see. He's too young for. But that one, he'll come in sitting there. He'd see me riding around on like a robot goat, basically. Some of them, they'd be like, "Can I have a go?" I'm like, of course. So that'll be it. It'll just be wandering around, like you say, like not playing the game, just wandering around. And then every now and then, just have to chip in and don't go that way, bud. Not that way. You won't like that way.
So I was just going to ask, because the combat can be, it's not intense isn't the right way. I mean, I guess I haven't viewed it through a 6-year-old's eyes, but I mean, I remember warning my son when he was slightly older than that, just like this some of the fights are a little tougher, because he played Spider-Man by that point, and he had he had kind of a good flow for it. But I told him, like, this there's a lot of similarities to Spider-Man and how this plays, but there's also a lot of differences, and the fights are a lot more intense, and like you want to use a lot more stealth. But then, like, when these robots get in your face, like some of these robots to younger eyes. My daughter was kind of freaked out by that. She's a little more freaked out than my son by stuff, but like they can be a little.
Yeah, they really come at you, don't they? I mean, my son still tells me about how I let him watch. I put the old Spider-Man cartoon on, and he still brings up how I gave him nightmares over the lizard in that. So any of the robots attacking you, it's too. We're not there yet.
Yeah, tell him keep away from Spider-Man 2 then, Lizard. That will keep him up for a while. Yeah, that's like, so he can just kind of wander the countryside. You just tell him to avoid. Don't go towards the robot alligators. Just don't.
Yeah.
If you see that's nice. You get to see the tall neck, the giraffe, and
he loves that one.
But yeah, you get to wander the countryside, and you're okay, and that's that. So
I love the big robot fights you can do on the side. Like, it's not even part of the story. I mean,
just like the ones that you just wander into that are like packs of the big guys,
like the giant eagle and the T-Rex looking one. It's just where, like,
suddenly you wander in an area and you're like, wait a second, this isn't right.
Yeah, it's like I wish I could say that I beat them looking, just like you see them do on the videos where they're jumping around them and stuff. But my trick was, I figured out where their zone was that they wouldn't leave, and I'll stand just outside it. I'll have a little pep shot at them, and then I'll run for my life.
See, I just played it like true RPG fashion. I just outmuscled them. Like, no, I'm not going to fight you until I have every upgraded bow, arrow, and armor that I can get to. I'll just, lay everything into you by that point. Every great weapon I have will be used to knock you to the ground and cut you down. That's and I'll have this bear over here help me at the same time. Like, I didn't even know there were temples. Like, there are temples. Oh, you can now hijack higher end robots now. I'm like, okay, great. Now I've got a bear by my side. That's a lot more intimidating than.
I wish I'd used that ability a bit more.
Yeah,
it was a great ability. It's just, I think I'm not like I said, as much as I love that game. Like, I had 3 moves. That's about it. Every game, I've got 3 moves, and that'll be it. That's all I need.
Did you have you played through the game narratively? Did you beat it? Because again, it's a game where the narrative probably takes about 10% of the map, and then there's the entire rest of the thing that you can really spend time wandering into. But you did get through the narrative.
Yeah, completed that one, and I say the sequel's on my to play list. Looking forward to trying that one when I get round to it.
So you played Zero Dawn on the 5, which I did also then, and the jump. I still have a lot to like. Forbidden West, I keep starting it, and then like I don't have time to like sit in front of the PlayStation. But the jump that it makes, even just visually, is stunning to me.
No, I've not got it yet. But once I was getting towards the end of Zero Dawn, I was looking up the trailers, and like you say, visually, it just seems to up it again, doesn't it? Like all the colours, the way the scenery looks.
Yeah, they really play with the colors. There's a lot of like whites and grays. I feel like, or there's a lot of like the desert area, a lot of the mountain area. But they're going all. They threw a lot of color into this one. Just like, no, we're gonna spice it up a little bit here. But again, it runs into a brick wall of Elden Ring or whatever else. Every year something comes out to destroy it from getting any kind of Game Award attention or anything along those lines.
It's definitely a game for the side stuff. I made it. Like I say, I completed the story, but I think because I spent that much time doing all the other bits, I was never too invested in the story. I'd forgotten what was happening. They're like, go here, and I have no idea why.
You're also trying to look at the mission list to figure out like which one's the main mission again. I got to get back to it.
Yeah, no.
Or you accidentally wander into the main mission, like, oh my god, I got a boss right here I wasn't expecting to get into. I'm fighting a human Terminator for some reason. Yeah. So your other honorable mention, back into the Marvel realm, you did want to mention Marvel Strike Force as well.
Yeah, it was just it's a very weird one, as it's one extreme to the other. As like the social side is what I would absolutely love in Marvel Snap, like the way the group worked, the way you could chat to each other, all that kind of thing. But to be a lot of the other stuff, even though I played it for a couple of years as well, it stops after, when you get to a certain level. It stops becoming player friendly. It's free to play friendly. It's very much you've got to do this, got to do that.
Time to spend. Yeah. You can't upgrade unless you spend now.
Yeah, but that was where I met Dennis, who introduced me to the site. We were in the same group. We tried to reach out to a couple of others, see if we can get them on as well. As we know full well they love Channel 3. But yeah, that's it. It was. I think, to be honest, as well, for that one, it's got a ceiling. Like when you start off, it is quite fun, very different, and the challenges you could set to, like to unlock particular characters. But once you get to a certain size, you kind of become repetitive.
Yeah, that was one of those games I never got far into. Like I remember, I was like, "Oh, this seems really cool," and you heard good things about it, but like, it's one of those like I could read the Matrix and just felt like, no, I see they're just building you towards having to spend money for it, which is where like you get the Marvel Snap thing. Like you could never spend a dime and you will still have fun with that game and you will still continue. You'll be a few months behind on the new cards, but guess what? Like you're fine. There's enough archetypes and adjustments. Like you don't need them. You're fine.
No.
This game was like, no, we're just sucking you in long enough to get you hooked. And then we're gonna start just draining you. I'm like, this feels terrible to me. That's why I couldn't kind of figure it out. But then like I was also, because I asked you before the show, I was like, how did you end up, because I saw Dennis was your referral. I'm like, how did you get here? And like, how did, there's like some people are geographically close to each other, some people aren't sure they're getting, like, how did you and Dennis are not geographically close? How did this happen? I'm like, oh no.
It's a bit of a drive if I was to pop down see Dennis now.
Do not try to drive that, people. Do not. That is not. It's not going to go well.
Be a hell of a car if it could, though.
This is the point where we take a future game someone's looking forward to. You're looking forward to a game I don't think has actually been officially announced yet, but it's just kind of the rumors are swirling and ongoing. I don't think they officially announced the Final Fantasy IX remake. It's just kind of lingering there.
We'll get there.
I really hope they do, as I know everyone says about Final Fantasy VII being the best, but for me, it was Final Fantasy IX. I absolutely loved that game. It was a card game in that one as well.
Forgot about that. So this one you have answered a few things, including like your favorite turn-based RPG. So I'm gonna ask a question because I've come to terms with the fact that like new Final Fantasy just isn't for me. And are they going to make this a turn-based game, or are they going to do the action RPG thing they've been doing with the last couple Final Fantasies and the 7 remake? Do you think they're going to just do a straight remake and just upgrade it, or what do you think they're going to do?
I'd like to think they change it up a little bit. As a part of the remake is you're meant to add what's become good, as technology and whatnot advances. And plus, otherwise, it's like you say. Otherwise, you're just playing the same game again with different graphics. But I think they could make it a bit more action RPG. Like the way the game works, it's got that ability within it.
What's the boss fight from the original that sticks in your memory? This was going through the quest, so I'm looking for what we're going to talk about next. This was one of the quests you answered that said like, "Hey, this is a boss fight that sticks with you."
To be honest, in that game, there's a couple. I mean, the final one, that's a really big slog of a game fight. Like you just basically going on for, I can't remember how long that fight lasted, but I don't think I've ever spent that long fighting a boss. I remember there is another one. It was about halfway through the game where I'd already done it at this point, so it became a little bit of a on the replay throughs when I found out. But basically, because it's basically a zombie tree, you can fight it for 20 minutes or use a revive item on it and you kill it straight away.
I forgot until you said zombie tree. I forgot that was the case. It was the counter move. And as soon as you said zombie tree, I was like, I remember this one now.
Yeah. But I have a vague memory of, like I said, I think it was a friend told me about it. It was just that face drop of, I could what? Where was this information day before?
Well, here's hoping it becomes a reality. It's one of those rumors, much like they're remaking Silent Hill 2, and Konami doesn't know that they have video game properties anymore, and I didn't know that Blooper, whatever it is, was out there working on it. But maybe they've got. I know they've got a team furiously working on the last disc for Final Fantasy VII. Maybe they have somebody who's actually doing it. We'll see, I guess. But
no, it's just the fantasy side of it, like the airships, the swords, the magic. Actually, all works really well.
Well, it's kind of the end of the fantasy stuff. It's like the last high fantasy one for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. Here's hoping. I'm with you. All right, so let's take the last piece from my end. A question from the Channel 3 history books we picked for you to discuss. We're coming off of Halloween. It'll be slightly behind by the time this drops, but I still want to ask, what's your dream Halloween costume related to video games?
I do actually have a Spider-Man onesie hidden behind the door in the man room. My wife bought it as a joke, as I'm not normally one for dressing up. I think I've only ever dressed up 3 times in my life. But
careful, that Spider-Man costume can be unforgiving if you're not careful. You gotta make sure you're on some Hollywood diets before you do that.
Yeah, before putting it on. Like say, with it being a tight, thin onesie, it's like I've got to put my shorts on underneath, and I'm glad I did. No, there's what I put on the other one. It's not technically gaming, but it's like when they ride on a dinosaur sort of costumes. So it looks a little bit Yoshi, with it being green.
And last question we asked: what's been your favorite feature on Channel 3?
It's a little bit cheesy. So probably it has been the chat side of it, like just talking to people about the same stuff. I mean, because obviously got friends, people at work and that, but on here, everyone's just so into whatever you're into. So it's just great being able to, people talk about it and you can get as into it as you want rather than just, everyone else just glosses over it a little. Whereas you can get, like you say, you properly geek into stuff. So that's it for me.
That's true. Just get people who are actually who understand the language that you're speaking.
Yeah.
Basically, that's nice to hear the group chat one. The group chat was very popular back when it first came out. Chat was picked by a bunch of people, and then obviously so many features and stuff has changed. It hasn't been brought up, But that's cool to hear. It's cool to hear the
It's
group chat coming
it's
up
steady
again.
Eddie in there. It's just doing
Yeah,
its job.
it's just there. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I say, there's a lot of good stuff to pick from, but that's the one for me.
And with that, we've made it to the end of another What Are Your Three podcasts. Thank you, suromike, for being with us. You can find the podcast. You can find the podcast at c3.gg/podcast, dropping every Wednesday morning at 3:33 a.m. Eastern on all the major platforms, including Spotify, YouTube Music, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Ray. Dan puts this all together. Our theme song is by Castor Garden. And for our executive producer, Joel Willis, have a good day, everybody.
Should we have done like 8:33 GMT? Is that what we should have done this time, Ray?
So that's it.
Greenwich time, just going-
Special
No?
release.
Mention.
Channel 3 is the future.